let us sum up this chapter 4, that is planning. Today, we have completed a major aspect of planning. Today we shall be winding up with the meaning of plan and the different types of plan. Plan, as we know, or we can define plan as a commitment of the organization or managers or the employees towards a particular course of action that is to be taken, or where we want to be, or where an organization want to be in future. So the commitment of the organization towards that achievement, that target, that can be termed as plan. So the commitment we make to follow a series of actions, that is termed as plan. So in simple terms, if we are to define, we would be saying that commitment to a particular course of action, the action that we would take, our commitment towards that course of action. Now this points out that where we want to be in future, that direct an organizations, or that propel an organization to make up or draw up a plan. So we conclude that as there are different types of organization, there may be different types of plan. So they have a different commitment, the different sets of action, different courses of action that each follows. But the common word that is used is plan. We may refer the types of strategies, the type of course of action that one follows, an organization follows, by different name, like objectives, strategies, policies, methods, goals. But all these are species. The genus is plan. So it is plan is a commitment to a particular course of action which direct an organization to achieve a specific result. So I have said where an organization wants to be, or what it wants to achieve in future. To achieve that, the path, the way that an organization follow is a plan. There is single-use plan, or there is a long-term plan. Like single-use plan or recurring plan can be there. Recurring plan as single-use plan means for each time we have a separate plan. It recurs. Standing plan, like purchase of raw material. The purchase work has to be carried out every now and then after an interval of fixed period. But establishment of an organization, construction of an office, they do not take place on a continuous basis or regularly. They are done only once or twice in an organization. So depending upon the types of activities, the types of plan varies. It can be single-use plan, or it can be a standing plan. So now let us discuss about the different types of plan, the categories. I have taken here first two broad categories, that is objectives and goals. Goals is first of all a desired state of affairs, means the wish of an organization, that where it wants to be in future. So what it does, it prepares a set of action, course of action, which helps an organization to reach where it wants to be in future. So goals basically refers to the collective actions that is taken by the entire organization. Goals always refers to a collective wish, collective desire, be it department, be it sections, each of them collectively strive or move on a particular course of action towards a particular object or target. So that becomes a goal. It is a desired state, not necessarily that they would achieve it. It is desired. Now the goals, it basically explain what is the reasons for an organization to come into existence. Why an organization is carrying out unnecessary activities, or what is the role that it plays in a society through the activities that it carries out. The goal justifies the existence of an organization in a society. Then this provide motive for its activities. I have already dictated. Why an organization carries out various activities in a society or its surrounding, it can be justified by goal. Like we know that a car manufacturer or an automobile manufacturer, there are too many in our locality or in our surroundings, but each of them are striving with a goal. For example, Maruti Suzuki is making a lot of endeavors to provide for the Indian market an automobile that basically suits the features of Indian customers or requirement of Indian customer. It is economical in terms of the cost. It is efficient in terms of mileage, fuel efficiency is there. So automobile like Maruti, they have low cost, economical, fuel efficient and quality type automobile. Now if we compare two of the automobile like Honda City and Maruti Ciaz, what we find that near about the same feature, but there is a huge difference between the price. Now that depends upon the goal that each of them follow. Maruti aspires for being an automobile leader in the market in India by providing a low cost, economical, fuel efficient and quality automobile. So a goal is always a desired state, and Maruti has capitalized in its goal. It has so long worked out on its plan, on its goal to achieve this target by providing low cost, economical, fuel efficient and quality automobile. On the other hand, if we talk of objectives, there is a very fine difference between objectives and goal. Objectives may be individualized or they may be categorized. See, this refers to the collective aspirations, but this is not collective. For example, this is the end result, means the action that an organization is taking. What would be the result of that action? What they want to achieve through that? It is that objective. So objective is a plan that defines that what an organization want to achieve on the completion of the action that it is carrying out. Now what we find that these objectives, they are multiple in number and they are according to their hierarchy. They have a hierarchy. Like we have a separate objectives for production department. There may be separate objectives for marketing department. There may be a separate objectives for purchase department, but they all three have a common goal, that is to be a market leader in automobile industries. So that is a common goal. So objective is a species, goal is a broad category. This is the difference. So there can be multiple objectives, as there are number of departments, so there are number of objectives, and these objectives, they guide the overall business planning. Planning is carried out taking into account the end result which they want to achieve, which an organization want to achieve through its activity. When it's complete an activity, what would be the result that they want to achieve? Like, take an example, the production department wants that by the end of the year, the unit of production should be achieved. That is objective. But their goal is that if they carry out the production, then they would meet the market demand and they would be a market leader by providing low cost, economical, fuel efficient and quality automobile. Now this is the fine difference between objectives and goal. The next types of plan that we would be discussing is strategy and policy. The word strategy is basically it has its origin from the military or the armed forces, and it's basically used to point out towards the way of action, state of action that an organization perceiving change in its entire environment, and in response to that change, it deploys its principal resources. All the resources are deployed perceiving a change in the environment, and it also restrict the use of those resources or manages the use of resources and the efforts towards those changes that takes place in the environment or in the business surrounding of an organization. Strategies is basically a technical word. It provides the broad contours within which an organization has to propel its resources and efforts when there is a change in its environment, ensuring that they lie in conformity of achieving the objectives that it has set. So changes are there. So what strategy actually is, it is just an action which is taken by an organization perceiving a change and deploying its resources and actions to counter those changes and ensuring that the organization achieves the objective which has set. So it limits the scope of action. Now let us see what it actually means. It is a way in which an organization reacting to its business environment, when an organization perceives there is a change in business environment or react to a business environment. It is in reaction, in response. So what a business organization does, it deploys its resources and marshal here means they arranging. Marshal simply refers to arrangement of the steps of actions that is to be taken. So what it does, after it deploys the resources towards the actual working scenario or workplace, and then it manages, it arranges the efforts that is necessary to achieve, means ensuring that the action are not wasted by the change in the environment. The objectives are achieved. So it is strategy. Now these strategy, it is basically a guideline for an organization that where it would deploy its resources and its efforts on where they would put their resources, what they want to achieve, towards what achievement. Therefore, strategies that tends to provide a more direction to the action of an organization, that it achieves the objectives that it has decided. It is to be noted that these strategies, they provide a long-term direction to the organization, and they are always decided taking into account the changes in the business organization or in business environment. When it reacts, it always reacts to a change that takes place. It is to be noted that these strategies, it may involve a mutually contrasting actions, like that an organization that wanted to achieve a growth. So to achieve a growth, what it would do, it would concentrate on core activities, and non-core activities would be given to, either it would be sold off or it may be outsourced. So what we find, that a more concentrated effort is being emphasized over here, and the action which are non-course, non-expertise, they are either outsourced or they are just shun off, so that the targets can be achieved, the objectives can be achieved. So therefore what we find, that it provides a more focused direction for the achievement of objectives. These strategies refers to strategies are a plan that basically encompasses the three dimensions. That is, first of all, it determines the objective of the organization. Then it, after determining, the various alternative courses of actions are there, and finally the resources of the organization, those resources are organized and they are deployed. So basically, strategy is a tactics that is devised, perceiving always there is a change in the business environment, and it is in response or in reaction to the such changes. This is all about strategies. The next one is policy. Now, what is the policy and what it refers to? Policy, why it is treated as a plan? Policy is a plan in a sense that it basically is concerned with a generalized statement. What this statement is about? This statement provides a guideline for the managers to take decisions, and this is the framework within which the actions of decision making has to be taken, considering the policy that is adopted by an organization. So to refer to this, policy is a general guideline for decision making to the organizational member. Means it provides a framework for taking decision and action. Now this framework of providing action and decision is in the sense that whenever a decision making situation arises, then the organizational managers, they has to make decision within this framework, within this, considering the policy that they have adopted. So it provides a broad parameter for a manager to execute its work, its function. Broad framework. It may be expressed either in qualitative way or a conditional way. One thing to be remembered over here, that it is always formulated in context of the organization objective. A policy is determined. Now let us take an example that an organization wants to accord promotion to its employees. How? What is the rule? What is the policy that it follows? Or what guideline it follows to promote its employees or members? The policy an organization has is that it promote or it provide promotion based on seniority. So if the manager has to decide that who would be taking or who would be given promotion, if the manager has to decide the name of the employees who would be given promotion, then what they are supposed to do? They would take into account the policy, that is seniority of the organization, members in the organization to be given a promotion. So what they would do, keeping this policy in mind, they would simply take an action of deciding the seniority of the employees. So those who are senior to a particular extent, the level of seniority to a particular year, which would be their benchmark, they would automatically get promoted. There would be no chaos. There would be no confusions. So it is a framework within which the manager performs the action when a situation arises of taking decision. So this is about policy. It provides a general guidelines. Now this policy, so when a manager is deciding about promotion, it restricts the action that it has to take. It has to simply decide the members who are seniors or who is senior in terms of or for suitable, assessing the suitability for giving promotion to such employees. So therefore, what we find, that it provides a framework for a manager to decide what work it has to do, what action it has to take. And this policy is always formulated keeping into account the objectives. If an organization feels or has a policy of participation of workers, giving due respect to its worker, then it must follow the policy of promotion on a reasonable basis. And it's but natural that those who are senior, those who are quite matured in an organization in terms of seniority, they would be promoted. They are more experienced and it counts. That's logical. So it would not create a class conflict or group conflicts. In an organization, two members, if they are having a face-off, then one would be satisfied that he is not senior, the other one is senior, he is going to get promoted. So it restricts the freedom of extent of action. what the manager would do? They would simply decide the member who is senior, and then the decision lies that they would be given promotion. So this is all about policies and strategies vis-a-vis. Now we would move to the next. So following the types of plans, we shall continue with procedure. Procedure, it refers to the chronological sequence of activities to be carried out, or the sequence in which the actions for an activity has to be carried out. It is to be remembered that procedure cut across the different department or different functions. What I mean, procedure is quite comprehensive. It is very pervasive in the organization. We know that for each activity there may be a different process or different procedure. So we say that procedure is pervasive, and it is a plan in the sense because it helps us, it prescribes the sequence in which an activity should be carried out. So what actually it does, it limits or it gives us a estimate about the number of activities to which the actions for an activity is to be restricted. When we say that, let us suppose we need to conduct a meeting, or the board meeting has to be conducted. Now for a board meeting, the procedure is different. Similarly, for other function in an organization, for other activities in an organization, there may be different procedure. So we conclude that it is a pervasive in an organization. Procedure, it is basically arranging the sequence, the chronological sequence in which an action follows or precedes another actions. So it basically restricts or gives us, procedure prescribes the number of activities that we have to carry out. Pervasive in an organization in the sense that for each activities there is a different process. Now it must be sure that the procedure which is adopted in an organization, it must be such that it should be timely informed, or it should be made timely known to all the other parts of the organization. For example, if we have a procedure relating to an activity of execution of sales order, so sales order, the number of sequence that is to be provided, that is to be taken, it must be communicated or it must be made known to each of the organization in such a way that the activities get coordinated. Means the concerning department with the execution of sales order, they must be timely informed about execution of sales order. For example, what we say that the sales department would first of all, they would like to know, require the number of goods, the number of supplies to be provided. Then the billing department, they would inform about the order being processed, bill being made. Finance department will communicate about the payment being made, and finally the dispatch and delivery department. So all the activities gets coordinated. Therefore, not only this activity of execution of sales order, there are a number of other activities. If we say that Let us take an example of recruitment or employees in an organization. How an employees would be recruited in an organization. So recruitment, the procedure that would follow in recruitment of employees, it would differ. Means what are the action which has to be performed, and each of the actions, each of the stage, they must be so coordinated that the main target is achieved, the objective is achieved. Recruitment of employees. So what basically we want to say is that procedure basically concerned with providing a guidelines about the number of activities to be taken in future to handle a particular activity. So the number of tasks that is to be taken, and it must be remembered that it is pervasive in the organization. Pervasive in the sense which each organization, according to the task, according to the work, they have a different activities. Like I have given execution of sales order, sales department having an execution of sales order. So these, that role of other department, they gets intertwined, they gets connected. Recruitment of employees, not only the HR department, but other department like production department will also require the number of labor forces. The finance department would estimate, the marketing department, they would also estimate the number of employees required for marketing. So when a recruitment drive is taken out, first of all, the number of personnel that is required in each department is executed first, that is traced out, and then advertisement department or marketing department or the public relation department, they communicate to the public. Then there are selection department who looks after hiring of the employees and conduct the entire process. So what we find that a particular department, a particular level which is concerned with an activities, the activities of that department have a different procedure. They follow a different procedure. It is not uniform for each department. Only thing that is common in that the activities are related. That is the only thing, that the activities of one department, it is basically they cut across the functional line of another organization. This is the thing. Now coming to our next, that is methods. What is a method? Method refers to a standardized way of performing routine work every now and then, course, daily work which is being repeated in nature. So what it does basically, method is the way of executing, the manner, how an activity is performed in a given situation, how it is to be carried out. So how method is a plan? Because it provides a guidance for executing a day-to-day action and help us to ensure a continued operation of an organization, taking into account the objective that it has decided. What we find over here is that when the methods, the process, steps, ways is decided, keeping in account the objectives, this helps in simplification, standardization and systematization of the work. Because in a given situation, what work is to be performed, how it is to be performed, that is to be already provided, or it is being prescribed by methods. Like, take an example, we have a different method of imparting training. There are various methods of training: on the job, off the job, vestibule training, hiring of fresh employees. So there are various methods of training an employees. Similarly, there are various methods of valuation of stocks, LIFO, FIFO, we have read it, and we have also read the various benefits of the methods. So methods are a plan in the sense that they provide a guideline about the way, the manner how an activity is to be carried out, so that it result into simplification of the work gets standardized, it is systematized, and the objective is achieved. The brooding result or method helps in basically simplifying the work. The method, the manner that we adopt, it tends to make the work simple, standard, and systematized. This is the crux of this plan. Now we shall move to the next. We shall continue with again the another type of plan, that is rule. Now what is a rule? Generally, rule is a specific guidelines that provides a conditions. So this is merely a conditional. Rules are conditionals that lays certain conditions under which activities are to be performed in an organization. Take an example. If we prescribe that in the factory the employees are not allowed to smoke, then anybody who smoke will face a disciplinary action. So disciplinary action, it means that these rules, they govern the future behavior of employees as well as activities, and it helps in maintaining discipline. So these rules have to be strictly followed without any exception. Nobody can seek any sort of privilege or waiver in abiding the rule that is being imposed or that is being followed in an organization. And it is impersonal in nature. Impersonal in the sense that the rule does not make any distinction, does not discriminate between the different kinds or types of employees. For a rule, it has to be followed by each, whether it is senior level worker, it is middle level worker, or it is a lower level worker. There cannot be any discrimination. All has to follow the rule without any exception. Therefore, they are mandatory in the nature. The rule are mandatory in the nature that cannot be avoided. Whereas coming to the next, that is programs. Now what is a program? Program is a special project or a special act that is being perceived by an organization to seek certain objective when they make certain investment, make certain policies, make procedure. So what we find that it is a project requiring investment to achieve a specific objective. It is to be noted that a program is a combination. Program, it is a combination of all the plan that we have studied so far. A program includes objectives, the policies, procedures, rules, the resources, and of course the necessary budget and action that is required. So it is quite comprehensive. Like what we find that the rule, if we determine that in a program that is to be followed or that is undertaken by any of the organization. For example, suppose the benefit of a program or what the organization want to achieve by implementation of a program, the result of that accrues during the entire year of its implementation. For example, the government has taken up various programs of poverty alleviation. There are different programs for reducing poverty. So long those programs are implemented, the government is making investment, the government is making policies, the government is following different procedures. So long they are in existence, the result that is being envisaged in a program will accrue till the entire life of its implementation. It is to be noted that this program is us having a specified objective like poverty alleviation. So it basically aims at reducing poverty. Then there are other programs which help in providing minimum guarantee schemes or programs that is being undertaken by the government. So long they are implemented, they would work out for providing employment opportunities to the unemployed youths, to the unemployed people in the country. So this is a vis-a-vis comparison between rules, programs. Now coming to budget. Budget is the expected result that we want an organization to achieve, and it is mostly in the quantitative term, quantitative or numerical terms. It is expressed in numerical terms. Now, how budget is a plan, or in what way we consider budget as a plan? Because budget provide a guideline about what resources are available and how they are used. Now, taking this to, if we want to make it clear, then we would say that how budget is a plan. So what we find that if we take an activity that we want to increase the sales, so what we have to do, we have to express that what is the result or what is the sales that we want to achieve. It can be expressed in numerical term like tons, 30 tons, 40 tons, or in percentage like 30% of the total sales of the last year. So there is a forecast in the quantitative or numerical terms that we want to achieve. Now these prepares the, when we have achieved, when we have already forecasted, making a forecast in quantitative term, so they give us that to achieve that, what resources are available and how they are to be used. So what basically budget help us? It helps us in making the resources required for achieving the objective that we have set. This is all about budget, and a comparison is here of the different types of plan that we have discussed today. So very briefly over here I have charted out everything. Here we come to the end of this chapter and hope to see you with assignment and the following chapter. So keep learning.